Peace and blessings, beautiful people. Peace and blessings. This is Goddess Imani, and welcome to this episode of Sacred Love Lessons. So today I have a little treat for you. In the spirit of the 7/7 portal, I'm going to share a little bit of my journey and my sacred purpose and soul mission. The Path of Sopdet. A journey to remember. In the heart of a tropical forest where the sun filtered through jade green leaves and the scent of mango blossoms lingered in the air, a woman named Amara stood barefoot on a trail rarely seen by human eyes. The earth beneath her feet hummed softly, pulsing like a drum in sync with her heartbeat. As she stood at the outskirts of the forest, she realized she had arrived at the edge of her old life. A soft knowing stirred within her. Something greater awaited beyond the veil of trees, she thought. The forest welcomed her, with singing leaves and whispering palms. Hummingbirds zipped between wild ginger, jasmine, and golden flowers. Their wings painted the air with sparkling threads of light. Promise and hope was in the air, and Amar could feel it. Amar moved forward with each step, guided by something invisible yet deeply felt. As she walked, the colors around her deepened. The green grew brighter, the sky above peeked through in glimmers of turquoise. A soft breeze swirled, and then a figure emerged. A goddess, radiant, with starlight in her eyes and the celestial light of Sirius radiating from her aura. Sopdet. She did not speak at first, only raised her hand, palm open. From it flowed a glowing thread of energy that wrapped gently around Amar's wrist. The energy pulsed like a beacon, guiding her deeper through the forest. Flowers opened as they passed. Vines moved aside. Birds sang new melodies in her presence. Sopdet's voice arrived like water, singing over stones. This is your rising. This is your remembering, she said. They came upon a circle of coconut trees, their trunks golden with light. At the center, a pool of crystal clear water shimmered with stars, as if the heavens had gathered there to witness her becoming. Sopdet stepped into the pool and beckoned Amara forward. With one breath, Amara entered the water, feeling her soul soften and expand. Memories of purpose surfaced. She saw herself holding newborn stars in realms beyond time, speaking languages of light, building bridges between lifetimes. Her body remembered its divine rhythm. Sopdet placed her hands over Amara's heart, and a beam of starlight streamed down from the canopy, entering her chest like a warm flame. Your soul has chosen. Your road is opening, said Sopdet. When Amara stepped from the pool, the path before her had changed. It sloped gently toward the sound of waves and a glow beyond the trees. Her limbs felt strong, her vision clear. Sopdet moved alongside her in silence, her light gentle and steady as she opened the way for Amar's sacred becoming. The forest thinned as sand greeted Amar's feet. The beach stretched wide and brilliant, the ocean glowing with sapphire and indigo swirls beneath the sky alive with stars, even in the daylight. The waves carried a rhythm she recognized, her own soul's heart song. On the shore, a large conch shell sat waiting. Amara lifted it to her ear and heard her name carried on celestial wind, spoken in the voice of every ancestor who had dreamed her into being. She smiled, eyes wide open and shining. Behind her, Sopdet nodded once, then lifted her gaze to the horizon. This is where your new journey begins. The light you were seeking has always lived within you, Sopdet said. And as the sun kissed the sea, Amara stepped into her radiant path, restored, reborn, and rising in rhythm with the stars. So that's a little bit of my sacred mission, my sacred purpose. I remember, as long as I can remember, as a little girl, when people would leave in my family, I was the one that they would ask to help out. And over the years, I just always did that. People would pass and I would help. And I remember my grandmother, my mother's mother, she passed in 2001. And after she passed, my mother came to me with a safe box and she said, "Mama told me to give this to you and that you would know what to do with it." And she was right. I did know what to do with it. You guys know that in my 3D life, I am an attorney and I also do estate planning in end-of-life services. And so that is something that I do. So when my grandmother passed, I knew exactly what to do with what she left for me. And like I said, over the years, when people would pass, I would help out, whether it be to greet the family right after they came home from the hospital, to be at their home during the grieving process, to help out with end-of-life services, funeral planning, all of that, obituary writing. I did it for my dad. My dad left in 2018, but even prior to that, I provided him with end-of-life estate planning services. Prior to him leaving, I still do that today for various people in my family, as well as, general clients. And then about 2 years ago, I didn't know who Sopdet was originally. I didn't know anything about being a soul doula and midwife. I just knew about the things that I had always done. Like when people wanted their ashes to go to the ocean, that was something that they would ask me to do. And those were things that I just did. It was a labor of love. I just did it to support the family and to help out. And so about 2, maybe 3 years ago was the first time that I heard of Goddess Sopdet and what actually she did. And you can just Google her and find out her connection to Egypt and Sirius and all of that, and who she is and what she does, the energy, the consciousness of Sopdet. But for me, looking over my life, I had always embraced that energy. And I would say, this is 2025. So last year, 2024, I had received a spiritual download. And what I heard was basically, things are going to happen. Some things are going to happen. And when it starts, it's going to go fast. Now, I had no idea what that meant. I had no idea. And so at that point, I was already leaning more into my sacred mission as a soul doula and midwife. Let me slow down a little here and explain to you what it is that I do, because I know in the past you guys knew me as an inspirational teacher of sacred love lessons. People on the 3D know me as an attorney. So let me just rewind a little bit. At this point of my divine assignment, my sacred mission, and my soul purpose, I am a soul doula and midwife. I help people in transition. I help people to embrace the highest frequency of themselves. Now, that just doesn't mean, because I know soul doula, they usually help people only during the end of life. Well, let me scratch that. Not only during the end of life, but usually it's as a result of end of life here in the 3D. I do that as well, where I help people transition over. And so last year, 2024, I was helping out with family. And at that time, I didn't really understand the significance of my presence in that moment. And so you guys know me. When spirit calls, when spirit leads, I lead, right? So I had left from one state. I was in the U.S. I left from one state and I went back to my home state here in the U.S., which is Florida. And one of the souls that I have been offering companionship to in that way as a soul doula and midwife was really upset by me leaving. And I didn't realize that my presence meant that much. And so I was like, okay, I'm going to go back. So I went back to support her on her journey. And I was able to be with her for a couple of days before she made her transition. Now, we knew that she was in end of life, but the expectation that she would leave then was unexpected. And so when I look back on things, then I can see, the signs of it all. But in that moment, I had no idea. I was just very happy to be with her and to just walk alongside her in the energy of Sopdet, and to be there to walk her to the Northern Star, to walk her to the Northern Gate. And that was the first time in 2024, that was the first time that I had actually walked someone to the gate. Like, until everything says 0, until they've taken their last breath and the doctor has officially called it. I had never had that experience in my life before. And it was breathtaking. It was beautiful. I was very proud of her. I was very, very proud of her because she knew the road ahead for her. And, it takes courage. A lot of people say that they want to go to heaven, depending on what you believe. But some people say that they want to go to heaven, but nobody wants to die to get there. And I'm very comfortable with that. You guys know that I was born under the sun of Scorpio. And that's what we do our entire life. It's a constant cycle of death and rebirth and transformation and sitting in darkness and sitting in the void and shadow work and all of that. So I'm very comfortable, and I have been, even as a small child, I've always been comfortable with the conversation, with supporting people. And when I was thinking back on it, I was like, this is why, even as a young person, why people relied on me in that way during those times, because they could see that in me. They could see the energy of Sopdet in me. And I had no idea that this would be a part of my mission. It was something that I never really thought about. I just did it. It came natural. I love people. I want to help people. And this is just what it was. And so that happened in last year. And then from that point on, it was just like my higher self telling me, once it starts, it's going to go fast. So then people started leaving like every week. And I was on the phone. I was calling people. That's why I haven't been recording as much, because I have been serving in this new capacity as a soul doula and midwife, helping people to get through the Northern Gate. Now, I can't walk through there with them. I can walk them all the way, right? Because the veil gets really, really thin when you get into the final lap of the race. So I can walk them to the gate. I can open the gate for them, and then it's up to them to walk through. That's why if you listen to me, or if you observe the things that I post, you will hear me say, journey well. And those are the souls. I'm talking to the souls that are going through the Northern Gate. Journey well. Because we want them to find their way home, right? And so, yeah. So I just thought I would share, because this is the portal of Sopdet. This is her energy. This is the time when she showers her love and abundance upon the earth. Historically, she will usually direct that energy toward Egypt. As a frequency, it is for the entire collective. I encourage you to embrace the energy of Sopdet. It's not just the physical, going from 3D to 5D, 3D, 4D, 5D. It's not just that. It can be any kind of death. It could be you dying to your old self. dying to old habits, dying to old stories that you're telling yourself. Whatever, releasing whatever that needs to release and die, whatever old stagnant energy that needs to go, releasing that and allowing it to die so you can be reborn in a higher version, a higher expression, on a higher frequency of your goddess God self. So, I'm Imani Sankofa, soul doula and midwife. I help people to make the transition, during transitions of life, during reinventions, rebirths of life of any kind. I help people to cross over into a higher frequency, higher expression of themselves. And I thought I would just share that with you today. So that's what I have for you today. Thank you for listening to this episode of Sacred Love Lessons. I am the universe, now what? Wherever you're tuning in the world, don't forget to click like, comment, and subscribe. And until we speak again, be the light.